Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Shit can get dangerous, yeah. Shit can get dangerous, yeah. You staying with a lame bitch, yeah. Well, I'm staying with the gang bitch, 'cause that's gang shit. Like, ooh, and they gon' stay by my side, 'cause them boys down to ride, yeah. Like, ooh, she tryna play with my mind, I can't be wasting no time, yeah. But them boys my wheels, got in my bag and I got out my field. I'm getting this paper, I'm stacking a meal. I'm with your hoe in the house on the hills, yeah. I'ma keep it real, had to sacrifice to try to get my bands up. Shorty wanna fuck with me, she see me on the camera. She said she in love with me, but really I can't stand her. She just want part of this life, 'cause she see me on the...
Hey everyone, today I present to you all, what if Frieza was in DC Universe? Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't have to destroy you, do I, Frieza? The voice came from a purple, cat-like creature adorned in royal-appearing attire. Frieza was a villain himself, but he was no match for the destroyer god, and he was greatly aware of that reality. Frieza powered down to his base form. His skin was white with purple on his forehead, arms and legs. Of course not, Lord Beerus, I was merely having fun with this monkey here, he said, pointing to Goku. Come Frieza, we have matters to discuss. The tense conversation was interrupted by Beerus's attendant, the tall humanoid Whis. Whis wore clothes very similar to that of his master Lord Beerus, but was much taller and had pale blue skin and white hair. He also noticeably had a halo around his neck, since Whis was an angel. He was actually much more powerful than his master Lord Beerus, an important part of the god and angel relationship. He touched Frieza on the shoulder and the three were transported far away from Earth to Beerus's planet. I have a favor that I need you to take care of, Beerus said to Frieza. While Frieza understood and respected the hierarchy of the universe, he didn't become Galactic Emperor by doing favors. What's in it for me? He asked coyly. I won't destroy you, Beerus replied angrily. He had never been long on patience or used to being questioned. My lord, maybe you should sweeten the pot a little bit, Whis interjected. Fine, the god sighed. If you accomplish this task I won't destroy you and I will reappoint you as Galactic Emperor. Away from Earth and Goku and Vegeta. You will have my full backing to destroy anything you please. What is the favor? Frieza asked intriguingly. Whis pulled out his staff and a picture of Earth appeared as a hologram. Isn't that the planet we just left? Yes and no. This Earth exists in a different dimension from that of Goku's. Separate from Lord Beerus's jurisdiction and Grand Zeno's reign. As you know, we are preparing for the Tournament of Power, which is why you were brought back to this world. The problem we are having is this other Earth. We have discovered that it is interfering with Goku and Vegeta's training. Like I care about those monkeys, the villain from Hell replied smugly. You will care if we lose the tournament and our universe is erased. I care about my existence, the destroyer god responded. Ahem, may I continue? Anyway, this Earth is pulling a lot of the key energy from our dimension. There are strong warriors there and there is only a limited amount of ki that can be spread amongst the two Earths. We need you to go and destroy that Earth and its strong warriors in order to release more life energy for our Universe 7 team. Our team is currently training and they need this new release of ki energy in order to get stronger. This is quite an important task, Whis finished. Why are you asking me? Because you're a villain. Goku and Vegeta would not do this. Goku would rather lose and Vegeta is too proud, besides he hasn't destroyed planets in a long time. You on the other hand, have no morals and would do anything to win. Also, Whis smiled. This would be a great opportunity to gauge whether you would make an adequate god of destruction when Lord Beerus retires. I accept. When do I start? Now, Beerus smiled. There was a bright flash of light as Frieza was transported in a spaceship to another dimension. Meanwhile at the Watchtower, the Martian Manhunter was alone in the orbiting space satellite walking around. The empty station could get quite lonely at times, especially when the other heroes were on Earth in their respective cities. The tower was quiet as he was the only member inside. The tall green Martian stopped at the control room to look over the cameras and put eyes on the planet. Suddenly a blaring alarm went off, as the scanners reported an unknown spaceship flying past the moon. What is that? A ship? The manhunter quickly pressed the alarm to warn the other members and opened the doors of the watchtower to meet the oncoming ship. He put his hand out to impede the ship's path. Frieza's ship came to an eerie halt. The villain from Hell exited the cockpit of his ship and glided towards the Martian. Frieza opened his mouth to say words but remembered that sound doesn't carry in space. He raised his fingers and fired red beams from his hand. The Martian was taken aback by this attack and wasn't ready with his translucent defense. The beams ripped through the body of the Martian and he tried to shout out in agony, but couldn't. He stopped moving, floating lifelessly in space. Frieza then turned his attention to the satellite floating in the sky. He raised his hand and launched a large purple energy blast which blew up the entire tower. Flying back to his ship, he set a course for Earth. Clark Kent was at work at the Daily Planet when he saw the explosion in the sky. Everyone in the news office ran to the window and gazed out in fear, wondering where the explosion was coming from. "Oh my God! What is happening?" shouted one of Clark's coworkers. "This is horrible. Where is Superman?" another exclaimed. The beautiful dark-haired Lois Lane looked at her boyfriend, whose face was sullen as he understood that this was a clear attack on the Justice League. "Go," she said quietly. Clark began to jog away from the crowd quickly while everyone's attention was focused on the explosion. He hurried outside and quickly removed his mild-mannered disguise, revealing himself to be the alien savior of Earth, Superman. The hero took off from the ground and flew headfast into the atmosphere to see what happened to the watchtower. He was going to wait to call the others until he got there, but his comm device rang. It was the Bat. "Clark, what the hell is going on?" "I don't know, I'm headed to the watchtower now. I'll let you know when I get there," Superman said. "All right, I'm hopping in my transport. I'll meet you there," Bruce Wayne responded. Superman took off at supersonic speed to the remains of the watchtower. Clark breached Earth's atmosphere and arrived at the wreckage, but something besides the floating garbage of their satellite caught his eyes. He flew quickly over to John, grabbing his teammate. John was dead, there was no doubt about it. He couldn't hear a heartbeat, felt no pulse. Superman could immediately recognize the damaging wounds. It was murder before the explosion. He grabbed his teammate's body and flew back into the atmosphere to contact Bruce. "It's John. He's dead." "What? How can that be?" "He was killed, before the explosion." "Who could take John out this quickly? We need to meet. I'll tell everyone." Hall of Justice in 5. Central City. Barry Allen was at work for the Central City Police Department, using his skills to analyze another recent homicide. "Looks like a gang shooting, guys. Execution style, I'll go file the report." Suddenly his phone rang, he recognized the symbol and stepped away from his coworkers. "What? How? Shit, be there in a flash." Barry ducked into an alley too quickly, that's an understatement, change his clothes. In a lightning spin, he whipped around and was now wearing his signature crimson suit that he used when crime fighting. After he changed, he started running to the Hall of Justice at top speed, beyond the speed of light. SKKKRRDDDDD. He hit the brakes in the park as he noticed something extremely odd. It was a spaceship in the middle of Central Park. That was definitely out of the blue. He stopped to examine the ship. What is this thing doing here? In the next instant, a cruel-sounding voice appeared behind him. "Ho ha oh oh, you're quite fast." Flash whipped around to see the short villain with his white skin and alien features standing behind him, arms crossed leaning on a tree. "Who are you? Is this your ship?" Flash responded, very surprised to see an alien behind him. Frieza stepped forward from the tree. "Who I am is of no importance to you." He walked forward, taking a few steps towards the Justice League member. "Dude, this is my city and this planet is protected by the Justice League. You'd better get out of here before you regret it." "Enough, filthy human. You're my next target." Frieza raised his hand in that familiar move and pointed his fingers at the speedster. Intense red beams came out of his fingers at the speed of light. Flash barely was able to dodge the first one, but the next few he dodged with relative ease. Whoa bro! You're trying to kill me. Why are you running? Is that all you can do? What? Flash was really confused by this villain's words. Attack, you fool! You asked for it. Flash took off towards the alien throwing a huge flurry of fists, at least 200, each one connecting with Frieza's body as Flash showed off his strength. Flash paused, his jaw agape as he looked up at the hellish villain. Frieza hadn't even moved or attempted to block not one of Flash's strikes, instead he stood there without a scratch with a smile on his face. What are you? The villain cackled loudly, his voice piercing the silence of the park. So that's why you run, you can't fight. This will be easier than I thought, I'll kill you slowly for my own enjoyment. I'm not done with you yet. Flash tried a new move, he ran around Frieza in circles way beyond the speed of light creating a tornado vortex around Frieza. This would be a great opportunity to use that energy as a way to attack him. He kept running as the villain stood completely still. He was ready with his move, he launched a huge punch at Frieza's head. Take this. Barry stopped in his tracks, as his fist was caught by none other than Frieza's tail. Flash could not believe what just happened, that was his best move. Did you really think you could harm me with such a pedestrian move? You remind me of Berter. Faster, but less powerful. Now it's my turn to have some fun, hold on for the ride. Holding Flash's fist in his hand, Frieza took off running at top speed. He ran to the other side of the park and threw Flash high into the sky. The villain followed him in flight and punched him hard in the gut, causing Flash to scream in pain as a mixture of blood and spit left his mouth. The Galactic Emperor phased behind him and delivered a hammer fist to his back, sending him cascading down to the ground. The ground shook with the force of Flash's impact and Frieza followed him, slamming his feet into the body of a fallen speedster. Next, he launched a small, but powerful ki blast to the chest of Barry. The Emperor of Evil continued to laugh as he punched the Flash in the chest a few more times to torture him. Barely conscious, coughing up blood, Barry was overwhelmed and on his deathbed. His healing factor was not ready for this much trauma this fast. He weakly pressed his fingers to his comm device. Are you calling for help? Ho ha oh, so pathetic you humans are. Go ahead, call them, it saves me the trouble of hunting. Soups, Barry coughed weakly. Help. Me. Barry was starting to recover slowly, his energy returning as his body attempted to repair itself. Oh, you have a healing factor? Let's see if it works like the Namekians. Frieza bent down and cleanly ripped Barry's right arm from his shoulder. Ugh. Oh, it doesn't grow back. Lord Varys said you all were strong warriors. Frieza smiled as he picked Barry up by his neck using his tail, the pool of blood spilling from his arm onto the ground below. This is the end for you, Frieza smiled as he choked off Barry's air supply. The Hall of Justice. Barry's in trouble. He just contacted me. Let's go. Superman said to the team. Batman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Wonder Woman, Black Canary, and Superman hopped in Batman's high-powered ship and took off towards Central City. They arrived in less than a minute, landing in Central Park to find Barry Allen's body on the ground. He's dead. What is going on here? Wonder Woman shouted as tears started streaming down her face. Who did this? Green Arrow exclaimed. Ho ha oh, that would be me. Frieza stepped out from behind a nearby tree and bowed. Perfect Frieza was short but eerily intimidating, even to the undefeated Justice League. You did this. Who are you? What do you want? Superman stepped in front of his team at this point, knowing that someone who could kill Flash and John was definitely a challenge. What are you doing here? Batman stepped forward also next to the hero of Metropolis. I killed the Green One too, if he was a friend of yours. I am Frieza, the Galactic Emperor. I'm here to kill you and destroy this planet. You'll pay for what you've done to our friends. Diana wiped tears from her face as she raised her sword angrily. We'll stop you. Frieza laughed again, doubtful. I'm on a mission from the Destroyer God. This must be accomplished. And it's been quite a bit of fun. Hopefully you provide a better challenge than your friends. I've had enough of this. Green Arrow jumped forward and shot an arrow at Frieza. Ho ha oh oh, that's it. He reached out his hand, extending his psychic powers. He lifted Oliver off the ground, guiding him into the sky with his hands. Ah! Oliver cried out in pain as he was lifted off of the ground. Help me! Frieza closed his hand, and just like that, Oliver was crushed into a million pieces with an explosion, while the Justice League watched in horror. No! You monster! Dinah's face was filled with so much rage for the alien who murdered her husband. Tears were streaming from her face uncontrollably, as she charged towards Frieza, only to be grabbed by Batman. Dinah, don't. This isn't a battle you can win, he whispered in her ear, and she continued to sob uncontrollably. But, Ollie. No. He wouldn't want you to throw your life away, you're outmatched here. Bruce turned to Superman, who was fuming. He had never seen such wanton destruction before, except maybe the Joker. But even he had managed to kill 3 Leaguers in the course of a day. You monster. Diana was the first to charge the villain, her sword and shield at the ready, and Hal followed her assault. Both ferociously attacked Frieza, Diana using her sword strikes and Lantern forming various weapons out of his green energy. All of their attacks were expertly dodged or deflected by the Emperor, who was making this look like a pedestrian task. Nevertheless, they continued to charge him. Now with the support of Hawkgirl was next to join, swinging her mace and following the 3 combatants as they took to the skies. Superman was next, but was grabbed by the Bat. Wait, Clark. Wait? This is no time to wait. We've got to stop him. Listen, he killed 3 Leaguers today, but he did it in 3 different ways. You said energy holes pierced John. It looks like he simply beat Barry to death, and now he used psychic powers against Ollie. We don't know what else he's capable of. That's exactly why I have to take him down. No, you have to watch how he fights. Otherwise you won't know what he can throw at you. You're probably our only chance. You have to be prepared. I know it's hard, but you've got to be strategic, if not then we're all dead. It looks like he's only dodging now, he hasn't even attacked them. Exactly, just how powerful is this guy? The assault of Lord Frieza continued. He had spent so much time in hell that it felt good to be back in action again. He was simply too fast for the 3 heroes. Wonder Woman would swing her sword, and before it fell, he would be behind her. Hawkgirl would attack and he'd move again, making her weapon collide with Wonder Woman's shield. Lantern needed space to be effective, as he didn't want to hit either of his teammates. They felt the stalemate and immediately pulled back to create a formation and a game plan. After a quick conference in the air, they came up with a plan of attack. As they prepared their new assault, Frieza began to laugh loudly. I've been dead all this time, and this is the best challenge you can give me. You're trash, all of you are trash. Ha 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 ha, give me your best or I'll blow this planet up now, with you on it. Blow the planet up? Superman was incredulous at the statement made by the villain. I have to go. Wait for him to make a move. Watch him, he's moving faster than Flash does in a fight. He's exact, his moves are efficient, wasting no energy. He's aware of where each person is at all times. I've never seen a fighter like this before. Green Lantern formed his hand into a mallet with the ring's power and struck Frieza, who merely brushed it off and threw one exacting punch, sending the Guardian to the ground. And he's strong, Batman added. He pressed a button on his utility belt. Hal! The warrior women yelled, but they breathed a sigh of relief as he was barely able to brace his fall with an energy barrier. They charged at Frieza again as he continued to down their attacks. He launched 2 medium-size, purple ki blasts which rocked the women, filling them with pain. Batman's ship flew over his head and he immediately hopped inside to join the battle in the air. His jet flew at supersonic speeds to help his teammates as Hal rejoined the aerial assault. The Batjet fires several missiles at Frieza, who easily dodged them, not releasing that they were heat-seeking. The villain continued to laugh as he didn't notice the missiles circle back around to collide at full impact with his unprepared back. He was propelled forward by the force of the explosions, but again unharmed. Batman tried a new attack. He sent metal arms out of the jet that attached themselves to Frieza's arms as they blasted the villain with thousands of bolts of electricity. The villain felt initial pain but recovered quickly. My turn. Grabbing hold of the metal tentacles, he fired his own energy in the form of purple ki that worked its way back up to Batman's jet. Bruce's face was aghast as he realized what was happening before he could do anything about it. The ki from Frieza's energy rode the tentacles all the way and blew the jet up with the force of their collision. Boom! The Batjet was completely destroyed, but in the smoke and the rubble, Batman had escaped in a mech version of the Batsuit. Continue the attack. He yelled as his teammates were shocked to see him unharmed. They woke up out of their stupor and turned back to their foe as Superman took the skies. He had watched too long. He joined the fight. Stay out of my way. I've got this. He charged Frieza with a full-powered punch, one that Frieza had to block but was still knocked back about 20 yards. That wasn't half bad. You're clearly the strongest fighter here. Superman shot lasers out of his eyes which were met by Frieza's death beams, causing neither attack to gain ground. He charged again and grabbed Frieza by the throat, who was already prepared for a ki blast which sent the Kryptonian back and then a hammer fist, sending him catapulting to the ground. Green Lantern focused the energy from his ring and created a large, circular barrier around Frieza's body. The villain paused as the energy surrounded him suddenly. Next Hawkgirl charged and smashed the barrier hard with her mace, knocking Frieza higher into the sky. Still trapped in the green barrier, he was met by Wonder Woman's sword which the force catapulted him towards the ground at speeds exceeding the sound barrier. At the last instant, Green Lantern removed the barrier which allowed the unprotected Frieza to slam into the ground. The villain's body rocked the park as Batman and Superman had stood back up, waiting for the Emperor to rise. The four heroes flew down after him and Hal launched an energy beam towards the hole. It was met with a dark purple energy beam that was much more powerful. The explosion of the two beams caused a huge dust storm of smoke, grass, and wood chips. Frieza stood up again, brushing the dirt off of his shoulders again. Hawkgirl charged him again, her mace strikes specific and precise as Frieza blocked each one with his index finger, then delivered a powerful knee to her stomach causing her to keel over in pain. The rest of the league started to leap into action, but paused when they realized Frieza's move. He had picked Hawkgirl up with his tail and turned her body to face them. Take one more step and you'll be covered in her blood. The team froze as they saw that Hawkgirl's life was very much in jeopardy. The villain cackled loudly. He then began to punch her hard in the back, over and over again. Ah! She screamed out in pain as her teammates were forced to watch in horror while the villain brutally pounded their friend. He continued to punch her hard as a mixture of blood and spit left her mouth and began streaming down her beautiful face. I'm bored with this plaything. He charged a ki blast and delivered it soundly into her back as she was rocketed across the park, her body unconscious. I've had enough of this. Hal shouted as he transformed the energy from his ring into a green jet that flew overhead and launched green rockets at Frieza, who again didn't move. Something was different this time, he shouted in pain. Ah! Frieza knelt over clasping his chest to the surprise and joy of the Justice League. Something had finally injured the villain. Frieza stood up slowly, and smiled deviously. Just kidding. He fired a purple death beam from his finger that pierced the heart of Dinah. She was off to join her husband in death. Ho ha oh, is that really the best you can do? The entire league raced over to grab hold of Dinah's body. They had never witnessed cruelty of this magnitude before, not from Darkseid, Joker, Luthor or anyone. This guy was unmatched, his cruelty knew no bounds and his power seemed endless. Superman knew that this fight had to be all his now. He had allowed 4 teammates to die, 2 murdered in front of his eyes. He couldn't allow this to continue. This is over, I'm taking you down myself. This is over now, I'm taking you down myself. The Man of Steel approached Frieza with an unbridled anger in his eyes, an anger the likes that his teammates had never seen before. Frieza stood back casually as he launched ki blasts from his fingers at the Kryptonian who walked through them like nothing. Frieza was holding back, way back. He wanted to see what their biggest gun could produce before revealing his trump card. He walked forward slowly, arriving at the alien's fingertips. He gripped them hard with his entire hand. Grabbing the villain's fingers, he thrust Frieza high into the air and followed at supersonic speed with his fist at the ready to inflict pain. Clark immediately swung with jabs and crosses that would have felled Wonder Woman herself. The massive punches were enough to bust planets, and their heaviness of Clark's punches could be felt on the surface of the earth as they collided with the villainous foe. One after another, they seemingly crushed his bones as they connected. Superman followed with a heavy hammer fist that sent the villain flying towards the ground. Frieza landed on his feet, however, pouncing up. As Superman flew downwards to continue his onslaught, he didn't notice the purple energy that was being charged from the villain's right hand. He launched a gigantic purple beam that collided with the Kryptonian's body, causing him to scream in intense agony. He launched another and another. The powerful sequence of ki energy had stalled Superman in flight. Superman launched laser red-eye beams from his head that pierced the ki and soared down towards Frieza, who avoided them with some difficulty. Hal and Diana took this opening as an opportunity to attack the unsuspecting Frieza, who caught onto their approach and released a shock wave of energy around him. He stomped hard, sending vibrations of ki energy through the ground, causing their bodies to collapse on top of one another. "If you interfere again, I shall kill you humans," the villain said coldly. He flew up to the sky to meet this new strong foe. He and Superman began trading intensely powerful blows. Frieza's combat speed outmatched that of Superman's, but Clark's strength was superior to the ice villain. Frieza was focused on avoiding his enemy and getting in shots when he could. He ducked under a few hard punches and rocked Clark in his ribs. Clark punched again. Frieza caught it with his tail, and kicked him hard. Regardless of the powerful blows, Superman was seemingly unfazed. With his left, he stopped Frieza's punch and delivered a hard shot to the villain's chest, sending him flying backwards, angering the Galactic Emperor. "Can you see their fight?" Diana asked her two companions. "No," Bruce responded. "They're moving way too fast for our eyes. I've never seen Clark fight this hard except against Darkseid." Superman charged Frieza again, who had a trick up his sleeve. He took advantage of the Kryptonian's aggressiveness and wrapped his tail around Clark's neck and charged a powerful ki blast which he pushed right into Superman's chest. The Kryptonian cried out in pain, but recovered quickly. The Man of Steel was his nickname after all. He grabbed the tail from around his neck and flung Frieza toward the ground forcefully. Launching himself after the villain, he snatched him off the ground and delivered planet-shattering blows to the stomach of Frieza. At this point no one could deny that Frieza was in unbearable agony as Superman's punches devastating his core one by one. He slammed the villain to the ground again, kicking him hard in the face, causing his white and purple body to skid across the park in front of the other Justice League members. "You need to leave this place, now. Before I change my mind," Superman yelled, giving the alien mercy. Frieza stood up with that infamous evil grin. "You? Give me mercy? I haven't even bled yet." At the final syllable of his sentence he was already attacking Clark. A knee to the chest and an uppercut sent the Kryptonian retreating into the sky, but he was ready for Frieza to follow him, only to see that the villain had no intention to engage in hand-to-hand combat. A volley of purple beams followed his flight. Superman tried to fly out of the way, realizing that they were following him. "Ho ha oh oh." Frieza laughed loudly as he shot. Next he lifted gigantic clumps of dirt out of the ground with his psychic abilities and infused them with ki energy. One by one they chased down Clark, trapping him in a barrier of stone. Frieza then used his powers to tighten their hold as he attempted to squeeze the very air out of Superman's chest. The Earth's mightiest hero gave a loud wary cry, "Yah!" He flexed his gigantic muscles, breaking free of the Emperor's hold, but he could not have been prepared for the next attack from Frieza, a huge purple energy ball. The energy ball was arriving at him moving at the speed of light and was as big as an elementary school. Superman prepared his guard, but the sheer magnitude of the attack launched him into the Earth's atmosphere and out into space. Frieza turned his gaze to the remaining enemies, again with that evil grin. They just stared in disbelief that Superman had been defeated. Frieza slowly walked towards them. "So, who wants to die first?" Batman quickly pressed a button to summon his Iron Hell Batsuit as he prepared for this final battle. Diana and Hal charged their opponent, who dodged their attacks with effortless precision. A backhand knocked Diana to the ground while a kick took out the lantern. Batman's suit was ready. He launched several rockets. Frieza, who again made dodging them look like avoiding butterflies, completely effortless. The rockets flew behind him, devastating the various parts of Central Park. He caught the last one and threw it back at Batman. Boom! It smacked into his suit and knocked him down with amazing force. A hole erupted in the suit and grounded Gotham's hero. The villain approached with a slow walk as Batman lay there unconsciously. Hal and Wonder Woman jumped to their pal's defense. Frieza was tired of their attempts at this point. He punched Diana with her full strength. Ah! The Amazonian cried out in pain as blood left her mouth and she collapsed on Hal. The Green Lantern pulled out his ring to shield them from Frieza's final assault. That won't save you. He gathered his energy to launch the blast that would eradicate the remaining members of the Justice League. Suddenly, a loud crack was heard echoing throughout the planet as the Superman re-entered the atmosphere, flying towards Frieza with all his might. "What now?" Frieza asked, but as soon as he got the words out he was then cracked by Superman's fist, which sent him flying through Metropolis and the downtown buildings. Superman followed him through the buildings, punch after punch, as the defenseless villain had no ability to block these punches. They arrived in an abandoned building and Superman shifted course. Grabbing Frieza by the neck, he pushed him all the way down to the basement of the building. Punch after punch, he assaulted the villain with unparalleled aggression. When they reached the basement, he used his laser beams to destroy the structural integrity of the skyscraper. He was going to drop an entire building on Frieza. As he demolished the load-bearing pillars, he flew out the top to watch the building fall, a move he never would have made in a populated structure. He watched as the large skyscraper crumbled, leaving the alien underground to bear its full weight. It was over. He had finally won. He flew back to Central Park to check on his allies. "Is everyone alright?" Hal was the only one to respond. "Bruce is unconscious and Diana has serious internal bleeding." Superman used his X-ray vision to confirm this report on Wonder Woman. "And Hawkgirl is fading fast. We have to get her to a hospital now." Hal used his ring to creating 2 stretchers for his teammates. "Did you really do it? Did you actually beat him?" "It seems like it," Superman responded. "We have to evacuate the city in case he comes back." Suddenly, that familiar ominous voice came from outside the park. "No need to evacuate." Both of the standing heroes wheeled around to see Frieza standing on a building that had been destroyed in their fight. "What? Impossible." Superman was in absolute awe. He had put everything he had into those punches and dropped an entire building. There was no way Frieza could be standing, at least not this quickly. Frieza definitely had a few battle scars from the battle. One of his eyes was nearly shut and he had scrapes and bruises from the hundreds of tons of bricks and steel that had fallen on him. He had blood on the outside of his mouth and a nasty-looking cut above his right eye. It looked gruesome, but he was standing, still with that evil grin upon his face. "I must give you credit, however, you're the strongest being I've fought. Except for those wretched scion monkeys." Superman readied himself for another round. He was tired and the clouds were preventing the sun's rays from refueling him as fast as possible. "Don't worry, I'll leave." "What?" Hal asked incredulously. Why would he leave, he thought. "You're going to do what?" Superman repeated Hal's question. "I'm going to leave. Bears didn't say I would have to work this hard. I'm going to leave." "You're not going anywhere, you still need to face the consequences of your crimes." Superman barked in an angry voice. He was aware that he was being taunted by this invader. Meanwhile Hal whispered, "Dude, let him leave. You don't want to do another round with this guy and I'm obviously no help." Frieza jumped over the 2 heroes and landed at his spaceship. Before Superman could react, he entered the ship and turned it on. They couldn't believe, this was the Earth's biggest and most violent threat yet, and he was just going to leave. The fortune of it was incredible. He was giving up because he didn't want a difficult fight. In the next instant, Frieza's ship took flight, missing something quite important, its passenger. He was standing in the same place the ship took off from, Of course, I almost forgot your parting gift. Frieza raised one finger into the air and bright, orange ball started to form from his finger. It was the size of a baseball. First it doubled in size, then quadrupled, then quintupled, until it was nearly the size of a school. No! Superman cried out as he watched Frieza plunge the energy into the surface of the earth. What happened next was indescribable. Clark heard it all. He heard Earth's core shatter from the outside in as it was destroyed. He heard the many rock and land forms of Earth splinter and break with tremendous volume. He heard all the animals on the planet cry out in pain as the Earth was collapsing under their feet and they died in fire. He heard the billions of humans cry out in pain as they failed to protect them and the Earth was destroyed. Even more sadly, he heard Lois's individual cry for help as her boyfriend was unable to save her. But more infuriatingly, he heard the maniacal laughter of Frieza as the villain watched Earth implode from the safety of space. Ah ha 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 ah, yes yes I die. The Earth imploded from Frieza's parting gift. The core of the Earth destructed, causing vast amounts of molten lava to rise to the surface. The Earth shook violently as the attack took its toll on the terrestrial body. The mountains and rivers exploded outwardly. The entire planet was successfully destroyed in a matter of seconds. Ha 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 ha. The villain continued to laugh as Clark watched his planet be destroyed so helplessly. What kind of a monster does this? What kind of being kills this many? His body shook vigorously with anger and with justice. He wanted revenge more than he had ever wanted it in his life. His love, Lois. The entire planet, all gone. He heard crying. The tears were coming from Hal, who was able to escape in time. He held an energy shield over the rest of the surviving League members. Superman approached his teammate. How could he? This is insane. He must die. Clark said assertively. There was no redemption to be had here. Frieza had to be erased from existence. Suddenly, they turned to see Frieza approaching slowly. You're still alive? You killed billions of people. How could you? Hal asked, shaking from anger. Billions, you say? That's a personal record, he smiled. You villain, I'll kill you. Hal shouted. Why are you still here? Frieza pointing his finger after the words and produced a red death beam which flew at the speed of light. It pierced his heart, killing him instantly. When the lantern died, his ring stopped working and Batman, Wonder Woman, and Hawkgirl perished with him. Superman screamed, no. You on the other hand, are about to become witness to the greatest power in the universe, Frieza still spoke calmly. The villain dramatically stuck his arms out and gathered his energy, spinning around in a bright light several times. When he finished, his body had transformed from white to gold, sparkling intensely. Meet Golden Frieza. Floating high above where the beautiful blue orb known as Earth used to float in the galaxy was Golden Frieza face to face with his opponent, Superman. Superman was still sobbing from the deaths of all his friends, his family, his love. He was an emotional wreck faced with the greatest villain he'd ever met. How could you? How? It's quite simple. I told you before, I'm on a mission from God. This was already ordained. Now stay still and I'll end your suffering in an instant. Superman did not stand still. He was going to kill Frieza at any cost to himself. This villain needed to pay for what he had done. He was no longer Clark Kent, the mild-mannered human living in Metropolis. That person died with the planet and with Lois Lane. He would seek his revenge as Kal-El, the son of Krypton. Kal narrowed his eyes, his intense laser beams being crafted behind his pupils, and shot them directly at the floating monster. Frieza deflected them with ease. Have it your way then. The Galactic Emperor fired a series of red death beams at Kal, who took them full force. He charged at Frieza in an unquenchable anger, a thirst for revenge that could only be quenched by Frieza's death. He punched the villain hard in the chest, knocking him back and again and again. On the fourth attack, Frieza dodged the move and delivered a powerful hammer fist, causing Kal to fly through space. He charged a Death Crasher, driving his ki-infused body in the solar plexus of Kal, pushing the Kryptonian farther through the empty galaxy. He continued to push him until they crash-landed into the moon, knocking it way off its course. Superman was not ready to lose. He put all of his force into a powerful strike which sent Frieza almost halfway through the moon. He fell through a massive rock and his body colliding with every piece of stone. Superman pursued his target, continuing his assault with even more hooks and jabs. Enough! Frieza's ki roared as he powered up, destroying the entire moon, in the process causing asteroids of moon rock to collide with Mars. He was breathing hard now, wiping blood from his face. He said, "You will die a gruesome death." The two warriors clashed again, trading blow after blow, shaking the entire fabric of the galaxy as they fought. With their incredible speed, they were covering large distances of the solar system in no time. Frieza punched Superman into the planet Mars. While his opponent recovered, he charged the same planet-destroying move that he used on Earth. He released it, destroying another planet in its wake. Mars was no more than a dissipating cloud of red clay. Frieza looked back for his ship, mistakenly thinking the fight to be over. But Superman again rose the dust of another demolished planet and charged his opponent again. A powerful right cross followed by a left nearly took the Emperor's head off as they continued to battle intensely. By expelling his ki energy, Frieza was able to dispel his attacker and used his immense speed advantage to begin a one-sided onslaught. He pushed his advantage as he attacked Kal all the way to the planet Venus, a terrestrial planet surrounding in yellow clouds producing acid rain. With an intense hammer fist, he knocked the Kryptonian back onto the planet. Kal stood up again. "You can keep attacking me, but I am going full out now. There's no way you can win," he said confidently, even though he was clearly damaged from the galaxy-destroying battle. Frieza noticed something peculiar. His opponent was getting stronger in this fight, even though he was getting beat up for millions of miles. How is this possible, he thought. Clark charged Frieza again, grabbing him by his throat and slamming him into the ground. The entire planet shook with the intensity of this attack. He followed with laser beams that drove the golden villain even farther. As Frieza was falling, he felt the heat from the core of the planet and knew he needed to avoid that. He flipped the fight again, switching positions with Kal. He was now the aggressor, and as they got closer and closer to the core, he jumped back to fire a powerful purple ki wave. Kal saw this move coming and punched the rocks of the mantle, escaping into the planet's solid mantle itself. "Where'd this bastard go?" Frieza said. "No matter, I will just destroy the whole planet." As he charged the yellow-orange ball above his head, Kal escaped from below the planet's surface and jumped high towards the villain, catching him off guard. A powerful punch knocked Frieza away as he dropped his energy, causing it to hit the ground below, destroying yet another terrestrial body in their battle. Frieza recovered quickly and kicked Superman in the chest, sending him soaring towards the rocky planet, Mercury. The force of his kick was so powerful that it not only caused Clark to collide with the planet, but the kinetic energy sent Mercury soaring right into the solar system's sun. Mercury was completely destroyed by the heat and energy of the sun, but instead of killing Superman, something else quite extraordinary happened. Kal emerged from the sun even stronger than before, his energy rising. He launched himself towards Frieza, taking the offensive. His laser beams so much more powerful than before, the villain was unable to deflect them. A few more right and left crosses and a roundhouse kick drove them back through the galaxy. "How are you doing this? You keep getting stronger. I am the strongest in the universe. It's over for you now. I am a Kryptonian. The sun makes us stronger, with its energy I am unstoppable." The onslaught continued, and Frieza was definitely in trouble at this point. Kal's power was becoming too much for the Emperor to contend with. Universe 7. How is Frieza doing? Has he completed the mission yet? Lord Beerus said as he stretched out on the lawn of his own planet. "It seems that he is having a difficult time, my lord. Apparently, the last defender of Earth is quite durable. This may prove to be a challenge." Beerus scratched his chin. "Here, give him this. It will turn the odds in our favor. Back to the fight. You will pay for every life that you have ended. For every creature, every human. I will end you now." Frieza had one last trick up his sleeve. He kicked Superman hard in the chest and followed with another hammer fist, providing him with separation from his opponent. He flew even higher and charged his largest ki blast yet. "That will not kill me. After you fail, I will end you." Oh. This isn't for you, fool," Frieza laughed as he launched the blast forward. It went way above Kal's head and soared in search of another target. What are you doing? Look behind you, Frieza said coldly as his blast was nearing its intended target, the sun. No! Cal yelled, but it was too late. The moon-sized blast collided with the sun, sinking into its gravitational pull and igniting the core. Boom! A gargantuan-sized blast of light lit up the entire solar system as the massive cloud of gas and dust exploded. The energy from the sun dissipated throughout the entire solar system, rocking both Frieza and Cal. The sun was gone, Cal's energy was fading quickly as Whis arrived. Cal floated nearly unconsciously as Frieza laughed hard. Oh. What are you doing here? I've won. I see, I've come with an important gift from Lord Beerus, Whis said in his ever-calm manner. Whis tossed the purple and black ball of energy at Frieza. It is destruction energy. In this battle so that we may be on our way. As you wish. Frieza grabbed the ball of energy from space and pointed it at the nearly lifeless Cal. Hakai! He said cruelly as he watched the ball soar towards Cal's body. The ball connected with the sun of Krypton, erasing Superman from existence. Let's go, Frieza, you have succeeded. Of course, Whis. That's it for now. Goodbye.